right, round number 2. We got Sorry or Trickster Sorry versus Not MetLife. This is MetLife. The leet speak messing with me there, man. I can't just seriously, when we get into the game, look at MetLife's name and tell me that if you don't glance at it quickly, you want to say MetLife, okay? Either that or I've watched way too many MetLife commercials growing up as a kid. Those Saturday morning cartoons just sneaking in MetLife commercials there. I don't know. But anyways, we do have round 2 here. We'll see who is able to go ahead and advance to 2-0, as both players are currently 1-0, winning the first round game. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bell. We got lots more rounds coming this week. And let's go ahead and get started with round 2 of OLS number 13.
That guillotine can get a lot of work done against something like dragons where, you know, you are running Targon, but you're not running Guiding Touch. You don't have a way to heal these units up. They are going to be vulnerable to something like that, but we are going to get into the game here, and we're going to start off with Shen Fiora versus Endure Spiders.
Now, is this... Hold on. Before you give me this Endure Spiders stuff, is this the new version that actually could be considered? No, there's no Elise in this version. So for people that, now granted, it's basically been called Endure Spiders since the beginning of time, but
especially by me,
especially by Boulevard over here. But there has been a recent uptick in Elise starting to get played again. Generally, I think just because it is a little bit more aggressive versus something like Field of Rush or War Mothers. So not seeing it here, which is actually a little bit surprising. But obviously, Endure Spiders always has that aggressive strategy that it can go with things like Blighted Caretaker onto, you know, something like a Cursed Keeper or a, Neverglade Collector, kind of finishing out the game on turn 5, you know, with that extra 5 to 7 damage that you're going to need through that drain effect.
That said, though, there's a Passage Unearned in this Endure Spider deck. Just wanted to point that out there, let everybody know the presence of Field of Rush is being felt in this tournament. And that's interesting to me because it would imply that MetLife is not banning Field of Rush. I would be very surprised to see any player bring Passage Unearned in any of their decks and then say, yes, I will ban the Field of Rush. Is Endure Spiders with Passage Unearned really the tech to beat that deck?
So, all right, I was just going to mention something about that. I don't know if I would rather play in any deck Passage Unearned and just hope that I have the Passage Unearned when they have Field of Rush, or if I would just play an aggro-based lineup. Because generally speaking, there's plenty of good aggro decks nowadays, like Scouts as an example, that just completely wreck Field of Rush. So, I don't know. I feel like I would just, if I'm that concerned about Field of Rush, I would just base my lineup with something like Scouts and Fearsome Aggro or something like that to just wreck Field of Rush anyways. So
that sounds reasonable. And now we get to see sort of the Gucci Boxtopus Soraka combo. You know, the high end, the designer, the Shen Fiora.
Oh, the Gucci combo. Yep. And
I should have said Louis Vuitton because that's who's partnered Riot.
See, you got to be on top of those partnerships, man.
The sponsors.
It's the glimpse beyond though.
I'm still out here chugging Red Bull because they sponsor, or not Red Bull. Oh man, I screwed it up again. I'm out here chugging Monster because they sponsor Team Liquid. But I forgot to buy my Louis Vuitton handbag to support Riot Games, the small indie company.
All of it, yeah, the small indie company is right. Yeah, all of a sudden you're gonna see us.
The small indie conglomerate.
You're gonna see us wearing Louis Vuitton T-shirts next week and Monster hats, not because they were given to us, just out of our own free will. Yeah.
Some people would call us heroes, and I would agree with them.
So, unfortunately, just apologies to anybody in chat as well. Looks like there's a little bit of a delay on the stream, but not nearly as bad as yesterday. So, it looks like it is doable. But if you do see it lag a little bit, that is why. I might actually be able to... What are we feeling? No, this is actually already in 360. We're going to not change it. Nope. Like the Kermit picture, by the way. I'm just now realizing that is there on Sorry's stream.
That's what Sorry looks like. It's actually Kermit the Frog come to life. He didn't want us to know, but he has accidentally left his webcam on, so now the secret's out, Kermit.
You are still alive. Where's Miss Piggy? Where's she at? Callista hitting the field, though. And MetLife, not sure if we're actually going to go in for an attack here. I mean, I literally just said MetLife. Wow. All right, listen. In my defense, if I look at the name, it looks like MetLife if you glance at it quick. Like, just look at it. Like, look at it and look away. It's MetLife. It's MetLife. Metal X. Jesus.
It's just such a large disparity of when you say MetLife and you try to say, yeah, you know, if you look at it quickly, that's what it looks like. And then you hear the actual name is Metal X and you're just like, I'm sorry, what?
It's not even close. Guys, stop using numbers for the letters. It's not cool. So, Metal
Well, that's
X.
just leet speak, man. Everybody's sticking to their roots.
Oh, trust me. I know. So, Metal X developing a little bit of a field here. Can't really do much, though, because everything is a fearsome blocker. This Callista doesn't really represent much, and unfortunately, just going to put themselves in a situation where Fiora can do her thing, challenge some more stuff with these free barriers from Shen, and probably push some damage through, unless we block with this Warden's Prey here. So, things are looking decent for Sari, especially sitting pretty on 2 denies in hand.
Ramping up this Screeching Dragon is going to be necessary for Sari to sort of maintain his position as the leader of this game as well, because that is one of your big concerted strike targets, to be able to kill and endure the turn that it comes down. Yes, you have Deny for the Atrocity, but if you are looking at your opponent's 13 mana and you need a way to proactively remove that Endure because it is just that much bigger than all of your other units. But now with this single combat coming out and the Fiora leveling, the Concerted Strike will almost certainly be used to end the game prior to the Endure ever becoming a consideration for Sari.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Endure Spiders has always had a problem with, is Fiora, right? I mean, Endure Spiders is great, but at the core of the deck is a lot of smaller units that die. Well, Fiora loves smaller units that die because that just feeds her win condition. So as much as we're trying to feed they who endure, Fiora is just a little bit more fed.
It is a pretty unfortunate matchup for Metal X to start things off, but I mean, I think Shen Fiora is one of the only matchups where there actually is no use for Passage Unearned. So it feels like Metal X was coming out to target the Field Rush decks anyway, and I am. You know, maybe that is one of the reasons that he brought Dragons. Maybe in his testing, this was actually one of the most effective aggro decks against Field of Rush. And, you know, when you look at his lineup of Endure Spiders, Twisted Fate Swain, and Dragons, you're probably banning that TF Swain more often than not, and then Endure Spiders is probably your second most likely option. And if Dragons have a good Field of Rush matchup, then yeah, this is a great lineup on the side of Metal X. He's going to be able to pick up wins against the players that have brought that deck, which Sari has. But you would expect him to lose this other game. You expect him to lose to the Shen Fiora if that's the case.
And yeah, here is the blocks getting lined up as well. Looks like just offering up the trade onto the Screeching Dragon, which looks a little weird, but I guess makes sense. You are at this point just kind of concerned with not only saving the Fiora, but, you know, just utilizing her to do that whole thing with, you know, winning the game. So that might happen actually next turn as we see it go for the attack here onto the 1/1, which, you know, that's the unfortunate part too. These things, usually when you're going in for a Fiora win con, you're doing it on units that aren't always 1/1. And it's a lot harder to kill units that aren't 1/1 because it's less of a chance they will actually kill the Fiora. But this just, man, Endure Spiders just makes it so easy for her to go ahead and get those 4 kills.
Yep.
And taking game 1 there. So Sari gonna go ahead and go up 1-0 versus Metal X, not MetLife. And we'll see if, again, both players 1-0 currently in the tournament. We'll see if Sari can go ahead and advance to 2-0 here going into round 3. Now, are we gonna get the dragon deck? Can we get the dragon deck?
I don't know, but Sari is actually queuing up Twisted Fate Swain second, which means that
Field of Rush.
Metal X has brought a main deck Passage Unearned and then banned Field of Rush. That is a decision that I do not understand.
Yeah, that is a little weird. I just think, man, is Field of Rush just like the new cool kid that everybody just is constantly worried about? Like,
I mean, War Mothers was sort of one of, if not the best decks in the format before the Twisted Fate and Lee Sin nerfs happened. Then those decks get nerfed. Obviously, War Mothers the best deck. Field of Rush feels like a better version of War Mothers. But to main deck against it and still ban it just feels like a lack of preparation on the side of Metal X.
Yeah.
And this is another matchup where, I mean, outside of Kegs, I don't think you're getting any value out of that Passage Unearned. Why is it even in your deck at that point?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about that decision either. I got to agree 100%. But now, unfortunately going to have to deal with a TF Swain deck as well, which is not going to be an easy task. TF Swain has the tools to be able to deal with something like a They Who Endure. Can also have the tools to actually go really aggressive early on here, which is exactly what we're starting to see. Already getting rid of the Bark Beast before it's a 3-3 and pushing through 2 damage here with the Crusty Codger.
Yeah, that Hired Gun, just such an effective answer for the Bark Beast. And Hired Gun has really propelled itself back into the front of the format. It does so much against these backline champions. You know, Misfortune being a constant threat for the Scout decks. They're all ending on that card a little bit more in builds like this. And yeah, you know, maybe you don't have enough 3 attack units to kill something like that in TF Swain, but you can soften it up for either a Twisted Fate or a Make It Rain on a following turn. And now MetLife just really slow rolling this one. It looks like, okay, it does have the Wraithcaller, is going to get the Allegiance. You know, They Who Endure is the only Freljord card in this deck, so that's going to be a consistent out for him. And Fearsome does play really well into Twisted Fate Swain. There's so many 2-attack units in this deck. That Arachnoid Sentry is really one of the only Fearsome blockers that Sari's going to have available to them.
Yeah, and we'll see what we decide to do here going into turn 5. Looks like we are just going to pass back over. So now, MetLife. I literally have to stop and tell myself not to say MetLife now every single time I'm about to say it. MetLife now has the attack token. Looks like we are going to be able to get through a pretty decent attack here with everything being 2 attack. This Callista, pretty decent drop. There are ways to get rid of the Callista, as well as, like we see here with the Arachnoid Sentry, you're going to go ahead and stun it, which for the most part is going to go ahead and shut down this attack turn. That Mist Wraith will likely just trade with the Arachnoid Sentry if it does go in for an attack. And the Mist Caller, I mean, all of a sudden that one Arachnoid Sentry shuts us down. I feel like we talk about this all the time. Arachnoid Sentry is such a huge tempo swing on so many attack turns. It's unbelievable.
And I would imagine that the Flock is going to get fired off to finish off the Callista.
Mm-hmm.
MetLife, if they go for a Glimpse Beyond, I don't think that it's really worth it for Sari to try and deny that with something like a Noxian Fervor. It's just such an expensive denial, but doesn't actually have the Glimpse Beyond. That is just going to be the Callista falling down. And Sari feels like they're in a very commanding position. It was a skip on turn 3 out of MetLife. It was a skip on turn 2 as well, so already playing pretty tempo and efficient. And then for Callista to be your turn 5 play in a deck that has 5 drops, we are seeing Neverglade Collector in this list. You know, MetLife just not finding his footing anywhere close to when he needs to. And Stalking Shadows, this better pull out a miracle. It better be They Who Endure, because we do generally see Endure taking out Twisted Fate Swain because it is so difficult for them to actually soften up that Endure in a meaningful way to get it killed.
Yeah, I mean, even, you know, we have 2 Ravenous Flock in hand, but that's only 8 damage. You know, if you're able to go ahead and get this Endure up above 8, which honestly is not too hard of a task most of the time, then, like you said, it's going to be kind of difficult for Sari to get rid of it. I will say we got 2 Zap Sprayfin on the field, and these are going to push through some meaningful damage pretty consistently unless we figure out a way to get rid of them. And let's see, Sari, we keep going back and forth on this whole Noxian Fervor thing with people playing it and not playing it. It seems like most people have adapted to playing it again. There was a slight lull there for a little bit where people didn't really play the Fervor. There are 2 in Sari's deck, so if we do start to get MetLife a little low here, we could be within range of lethal, and we already have one of those Fervors in hand.
But the Doom Beast's going to come down and even up the life totals a little bit, and because MetLife has not been able to consistently tempo out units throughout the early game, even if he does find a They Who Endure, it's going to be entirely too small to have an impactful, income. It's not going to have impact on the outcome of this game. It's going to be what, like a 6/6 at this point?
Yeah, no, it's not going to be big at all. Right now, it's a little dinky thing. But these. Oh wait, did that Doom Beast? Oh, that's just a Nightfall activator. It seems like.
Yeah, so are we following this up with another real Doom Beast, or is MetLife tilted by the lack of tempo he's been able to find? And Sari knows that you have to have some kind of follow-up for an ephemeral Doom Beast. I'm just going to pass immediately. Yep. Just one of the fastest passes I've ever seen. I didn't even see the priority sequence get changed over to him. And now MetLife, you had to have been expecting that, right? What did you think your opponent was going to do when you played a Doom Beast? It's turn 7 in Twisted Fate Swain. That's their turn off. He's on vacation right now. You can do whatever you want. The mods are asleep. And
now the mods really are asleep. It just, the stream just kicked off there for a second, so I'm gonna go ahead and refresh, see if we can. Literally right after you said that, it like blacked out. All right, here we are. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. No worries. And yeah, so I mean, we were actually talking about this yesterday too, right? With turn 7, it seems like turn 7, generally speaking, isn't the strongest turn for most decks. There's not a whole lot of 7 drops, and definitely a thing for TF Swain, as Leviathan is really all that you care about here. Or Riptide.
So that was MetLife firing off the 1 of Passage Unearned for absolutely no value. Just kind of showing his opponent, hey, if I'm going to get 2-0'd, this is why.
Wow. So, can we... Okay, listen. I know you have... And I don't want to say defended, because I know you're aware of how very... I don't know. It's very certain points where you can even use Passage Unearned in the first place, but... Can we just agree that this card is just not good? Like, I feel like we keep seeing it teched in decks, and we keep trying to find very, 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 very specific situations where this card can be used. And it almost always is getting either very little value, or it's getting used in such a ridiculously random spot that it's never going to happen again.
We haven't seen it played against Field Rush yet. I'm not willing to say that the card is bad, but I am willing to say that it is a bad strategy to main deck it and ban Field Rush.
Yeah, I just don't think it's the answer to... Well, first off, yes, I agree with that. But I just don't think it's the answer to Field Rush. Because then what happens... How bad are you going to feel if you play a Field Rush deck and you don't draw it?
Like, I mean, you know, that's like saying, oh man, I played against, you know, a Frostbite midrange and I didn't draw my... But I didn't draw any of my... Ruinations. Like, it just happens, you know.
I guess my point is you're severely hindering your draws in every single game for the potential to possibly have one good draw in one very specific matchup.
One blowout draw.
One blowout draw.
Boogeyman matchup of the format.
One blowout draw. It's basically, I want to say guaranteed win, but maybe like 90% of the time that happens, you probably will win the game. I don't know. I think everybody universally agree this is more of a side deck card when it first came out, and I gotta think that's exactly what we're seeing with this card.
Yeah, but there are no side decks, so there are no side deck cards.
No, you know what I mean, in idea, right? So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just not very impressed with the tech that I have seen from it so far. And the RNG gods, though, from Sari's side, are gonna go ahead and give him the... Not like he wasn't gonna get it anyways, but...
Yeah, I was gonna say, not seeing Fervor. He was just trying really hard not to play that Fervor.
So Sari gonna take it 2-0 there versus MetLife, and going to advance to round 3 as 2-0 as well. All right, so Sari going to go ahead and take it there, advancing 2-0. Sari definitely has a lot of competitive experience. We have seen Sari in a few other tournaments prior to this one, so curious to see how far Sari's going to be able to make it in OLS 13. But as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you. Peace out.